their parents are also online. A parent might be on the computer while a kid's in one room, and everybody's eating separately. And so, I think the internet can go two different ways, where we're trying to develop community and connection through online, but then there's this other extreme where the family system is also very separated and not connected. So I'm curious about what you all think about that, about how we may even be redefining what a healthy relationship is, at some point in our development, that because the computer and online is here, it's not going anywhere, as far as I know. And so I'm just curious about what you all think about the family system and how this might be affecting us for the future.
It's interesting you should say that, because, we deal with all kinds of online addiction, not just sexual addiction. There's gambling, and it's funny because some of our clients, it's just a simple case of procrastination online. They just spend too much time online. And more, some of the time we get requests to just limit my online access. It's not even about a problem with a particular area online. Just only let me surf 2 hours a day. And so again, with all this stuff, I think, me personally, when I have kids, I'm going to sort of make computers not available all the time. And it really extends to anything in life. You could have kids who sit in front of a television all day, unless you say to them, you turn it off and say, go outside and play. That's just how it is. That's the world today, and it really comes down to, a parent or a sponsor or a family member sort of saying, putting the brakes on and saying, this is not healthy, whatever it is. And of course, in today's world, the internet is so available, and people, are just using it constantly, So being online in itself can just be an addiction, just being online, spending too much time online, and we see it every day.
I think one of the cool things we're going to see with technology developing in the future is leveraging technology to build those relationships. So right now we're kind of in a place where people don't know what to do with technology. We're losing these human connections. So it will be interesting to see what types of apps develop to actually facilitate that kind of connection between families and just relationships. So I think that that's definitely a movement. And then there's been a huge movement in the online to offline commerce world. It's, I don't even know, it's a $3 trillion market. So I think a lot of money is being invested in that because technology and investors and just everyone's really recognizing that there's some sort of disconnect between the online and the offline world. So I think there will be an app for that, and we'll see what happens. But I just think that those kinds of ideas and that kind of innovation is what's really going to kind of facilitate an open communication like it was prior to the days of Facebook, which I love Facebook, but there definitely needs to be some more dialogue.
I think it's a great question, though, and I'm sure it's something that's concerning a lot of parents. But it's interesting. Again, it's about creating opportunities to dialogue. But the technology itself is truly affecting the next generation in terms of how they just communicate. One of the things that I notice, and I think if you go to restaurants these days, the host doesn't host anymore. It's like they became like little machines. Like every restaurant I go to over here, they'll greet me and they'll be like, okay, how many? Okay, have a seat or wait 5 minutes. Boom. What's your name? On the list. It's like that's the host. The host is supposed to greet and be like, hey, how you doing? Oh, where are you coming from? And and kind of enter you into the restaurant experience. Now, granted, it depends on what type of restaurants you go into. McDonald's is going to be different than others, but in general, people's ability to communicate has really diminished because of this. I think technology has created a different form of communication that has truly been hampered by this. And I'm really curious. You bring up a really good point, too. I'm really curious the opportunities there for technology to help embrace that. I have my own personal prejudices with having to use technology to do that. I feel like we can do it ourselves on some level, but maybe it's going to be important, especially for a young generation that learns on technology. So,
I also.
Real quick, I'm at Digital Hollywood also right now, and I went to Mark Burnett dinner the other night, and they're rolling out TV in McDonald's. McDonald's is rolling out their own TV station in McDonald's, right? So talking about, okay, not only are you going to get your food really fast, but you also can plop your kid down and they can watch stuff. So, yeah, honey, how?
So much for the family dinner.
Right, I know.
Okay. We have a
But
question.
I was one of those kids who would, bring a book everywhere. I would read in public, which is considered incredibly rude. And my husband thinks texting while you're with people is incredibly rude. It's like, excuse yourself, please, and leave. So he's old school that way. But there have always been kids with their noses in books, and now they have their noses in, and if I put it down and look up and say hello to the person next to you. And that's, I think, a parental socialization thing.
Well, I think we have a question from the audience. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say very quickly in terms of how parents think about young people is that I think they have to realize that the brains of younger people are developing differently than the brains of older people. I did not have something in front of me where I was doing this with a screen when I was 2 and 3 years old. But I have family members who are 2 or 3 years old, and they've got their own little PSPs, and they're this and that affects neural development. You spend 3 hours a day doing that back and forth with the digital and with the images, and you're going to have a different brain than the person who doesn't develop that way. So we are evolving the race literally with technology because the neurological development of our children is changing because of their consistent relationship with technology. How that's going to affect us, we don't know yet.
Absolutely. There's actually, if you guys can check it out online, there's a viral video right now, and it's with a baby with a magazine, and it's going. Have any of you seen that? It's fascinating. Yeah, it's touching the magazine, thinking that it's a tablet, and then it's like Borkin, right? Yeah.
Right.
So I'm not quite sure how to phrase this as a question. Because I'm not sure that I guess I'm wondering, have you thought about what I'm going to propose? Or
some more questions.
So technology enables many things, and I've been thinking about the extension of haptic technologies and the body gloves that you mentioned. So I'm curious about what happens if and when we have the capacity to digitize and transmit and receive sensory information, smells, touch, and so on in ways that are kind of fun. If you can digitize it, then you can store it, you can replay it, you can mix it, you can have simulations, and so I think we have the potential for evolving new types of relationships. We've all spoken of one-on-one, but there's no reason you can't have a global shared orgasm to which you can tune in and hook out of at will. And how will that shift us? How will that change our notion of relating and redefining our notions of what it means to be human and intimate in a public context?
You're great at cocktail parties, aren't you?